Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Martha. It's really good to have this conversation, I think. So, I think what we're going to talk about is the popularity of or interest of color analysis online and talk about, some of our approaches and what we see in the market as all the differences around.
Yeah, I mean, I often will like text you or message you when I see a colorist posting photos of their clients and the colors that they've chosen for their clients, where to me it's like way off from the client's essence, where I'm like, how did they even come up with this color palette? And so what it makes me really tune into is how colorists have um, everyone has their own approach to choosing colors, the colors that are going to be the best for someone. And in the lineage that you and I were trained, it's really clear that our lineage is really different from what I'm seeing online.
Yeah, exactly. And I also noticed that I think it's not just colorists, but stylists in general. Like,
Hmm.
for example, when I look at photos of like celebrity events and you look at what all the celebrities have been put in,
Yeah.
and sometimes you can tell that the colors aren't really correct for their pigmentation, but maybe even more often than that, it's like the styles aren't correct and don't work for them given their figure, their facial features. And
Totally.
sometimes they're just, it's like we were taught, if you see the outfit before you see the person, then
Hmm.
not really for them. The idea and the way that we were approached is that it's the person that's the main event, and your clothing, etc., should be like enhancing.
Mm.
It should make you stand out, not the clothes stand out. So that like, and I also liked, I remember being told when I was training, it's like, if somebody says, "Oh, that's a great dress," that's a different type of compliment than somebody saying, "That dress looks fabulous on you." So, underneath, often, we, even if people aren't trained, we know when we see something on somebody, whether it really makes them look good or whether it detracts in some way from,
Yeah.
from them. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that the way we were trained and the way we support our current clients and ourselves is with a value system that's quite different. And that value system, right? I think you agree with me, is that our inner essence and the pigmentation that we were born with contains secrets and codes and important information that gets to be conveyed on the exterior. So when we're wearing clothing that's and surrounding ourselves with clothing that's harmonizing who we are as authentic human beings, we are supported emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, as opposed to wearing things that create energetic static. And that's what you're sort of describing. The energetic static, visual static is seen when we're seeing like a celebrity in a dress where all we see is the dress. But one thing that's like, I don't know about you, but I've been seeing a lot of Blake Lively around, and she very often does wear colors that harmonize her. And she's being like portrayed and expressed as like really a modern day visual goddess, an energetic goddess. And I think part of it is that she really does often wear colors that harmonize her. And same thing with the musician Taylor Swift. When she wears colors that harmonize her, it's like that's when we fall in love with her, that's when we are like drawn to her. And so what I'm seeing in the social media realm is like colorists who aren't trained in our lineage with us our essence base. And that's what I think you and I really have fun talking about, is like, what is the human's person's essence? What is their native and natural pigmentation that we get to value and then replicate in clothing, accessories, jewelry, and like you said, the style recommendations, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's funny. Recently, I've been rereading Suzanne Cagle's book, Color, the Essence of You, which was actually written in 1980.
Yeah.
And it's like, her original vision was so clear. Her observations were so, on the mark as far as I'm concerned, because her basic observation was, that everything in Mother Nature, everything that Mother Nature produces is in harmony. So if we would look at a flower, like let's take a lily or something, and it's a white flower, we don't sit around saying, oh, that lily and the stalk don't match. It's like everything's in harmony, the shapes of the petals, the coloring, the
Yeah.
leaves. It's just like it produces this visual harmony. And then she's talking about, well, the same with the, with the animals that are perfectly adapted to their environments. So it's like, okay, we're living beings too.
Mm.
So that should hold for all human beings as well. And that was the basic observation. But interestingly, she also had this vision about the color field. And she actually says in the book, in 50 years' time, and she was writing in 1980, she would envisage that there would be all sorts of people in the color field, a bit like they are in medicine, with like different specialisms, and everybody working from an energetic point of view. And of course, that hasn't really happened.
Mm.
Like when we're talking about what we see on social media, there's a prevalence of very simplified systems that work more in very simple ways. And I'm not wanting to make them out as like wrong, because I mean, clearly they help people, and they can help people with their shopping. But I think what we're talking about is like, once you add in the layers of psychology and the energetic understanding, which of course not everybody has, because there's a whole journey to go on to get to take the understanding, and that's not the prevailing level of understanding and consciousness at the moment. But for those who do have that consciousness, or for those who are open to it, well, there's just like this whole world
Mm.
opens up
Yeah.
just from the colors. And it's not just about your colors to have in your handbag for shopping. It's like, it's all sorts of things. And particularly for people who are in any way in the public eye, and I include that, people like ourselves who are self-employed and working on Zoom, there's so much that when your presentation is aligned with your message, with your work, like there's, it just opens so many, it opens so much, I think, for the clients and the people working with you, as well as for yourself, in terms of giving that sort of experience of harmonious presence, which is, yeah.
Totally. I love everything you just said. Full agreement. Yes. One thing that came through as you were talking that feels relevant is I remember I was working with a spiritual counselor about 20 years ago, and my son was like 5 years old or something. And I mean, I was a single mom, but like my love for him and my parenting was like very, very fulfilling and meaningful to me. But outside of that and teaching yoga, I was like lacking joy. I remember saying to my spiritual counselor at the time, like, who was sort of my therapist at the time, I tend to be drawn to more of a spiritual psychological approach than traditional therapy. And I remember saying to her, like, I'm not feeling a lot of joy. Like, I don't feel joy. Like, I was disconnected from my joy at some point. And when the color work found me, right, like it opened me up to a natural, uncomplicated, like simple joy. So it's like the color harmony brings a sense of simple joy, which I think is such a gift, because most of us in the world are suffering on some level or stressed on some level, and that diminishes simple joy, the simple joys of life. And for me personally, the color essence, focusing on essence and like who I am on the inside. Who am I really? What are my truths? What do I believe in? What's important to me? And having all of that expressed through the vibration of color has just created so much joy in my life. And then, of course, when some simple joy arises, then we're able to have access to more joy in other areas. Does that make sense? So the word joy just keeps coming through for me, that instead of being like, oh, a colorist who's not essence based is like, oh, well, wear this color, wear this color, sort of like robotic. This feels like this inner simple joy that emerges from the embracement of the colors that harmonize our true essence.
Yeah, I so agree. And I've got a couple of points to add, actually.
Yeah.
One, yes, I totally agree about the joy. And for me, it was a reconnection to aspects of creativity that
Mhm.
maybe I wasn't fully utilizing. In
Yeah.
fact, it was as a teenager, I used to make all my own clothes.
Yeah. Right.
I love going into the fabric stores and looking at the fabrics and deciding, that when they had all the books, you probably, maybe when you were younger, like the
Yeah.
Simplicity
No, I remember.
books and McCall's, I think was another name. And you choose your pattern and then you choose your fabric and you create something that's individual and unique. And it put me back in touch with the pleasure I got from creating an outfit like that. But more to the point, what you're saying is the colors. It's like, because these colors, because they're actually in our pigments, in our hair, skin, and eyes, and we're each different. When you wear the colors that complement, somehow that has this really nurturing effect
Mhm.
as well. And it was a revelation to me when I could started feeling the energy of the colors. And
Yeah.
when I was wearing the colors that worked for me, it just felt completely different
Yeah.
from if I wear colors that are off. And all of a sudden I realized, well, now I know why shopping hasn't really been that joyful for me for many years. It's because it's rare that I actually find things in stores where it's like, well, the planets are lined up, style is right, the color is right, it's right for my figure, all of these things. I that's hard sometimes in stores, or you really have to look. But once I knew what I was actually looking for, then it was easier to go into a store and look and see if there was anything for me there that's worth trying on or not. It made the shopping so much easier and more simple and more enjoyable.
Yeah. So much so. One of the other things that I love about our lineage is the psychology,
Yeah.
in that, like, it might sound simple, and for us it's like obvious, but it's like you said, a revelation to know that whatever aspect of life we're wanting to either improve or enhance, or whatever's not working in our life, we can go to the psychology of the color. So if I'm wanting to up level my professional life, then I lean into my power colors, right? And my formal color. And so if I want more, if I'm looking for partnership or intimacy, like I lean into my intimacy colors, right? And if I want more joy, I lean into my celebration color. And so the idea that the colors can actually support that which we're wanting in our lives, right? If I'm feeling stressed or ungrounded, I wear my grounding color, and that creates a sense of calmness and safety, right? And so knowing these kind of um, opportunities for spontaneous support, and then knowing how to utilize them with ease and grace and joy, is just an incredible lifestyle. That's what I'm feeling like. The essence-based palettes is a lifestyle enhancement and um, lifestyle, like a realm that makes life better.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, once you put the psychology of the seasons in place, as opposed to some of those more simplified systems, which is, at least in my understanding, they're often based on like, um, you know, things like, is somebody cool or are they warm,
Yeah.
light or dark, those sorts
Mhm.
of things. But there's not, once, if the psychology piece is taken out, then you're not necessarily putting people in the correct seasons.
Yeah.
And once the season is correct and somebody knows the psychology for that season, like the
Yeah.
gifts, the energetic gifts of that season and the shadow, A,
Yes.
it becomes a personal development tool, but B, you then feel so validated from
Mm,
that. I
yeah.
mean, you know, in one of those more simplified systems, I'd been diagnosed as winter,
Mhm.
mainly based on, you know, in the past, my hair was a very dark ash brown, and my eyes are green, the green blue, and my skin is probably, you know, it's neutral, but it's on the cooler side. So I've been placed in winter, but in fact, as you will know, once you are putting things in, like, you know, the tone of my voice, the way I move, the way I speak, my
Mm,
actual energy, which is more flowy, you will see that I'm actually a summer.
yeah.
Yes, when I was younger and I had dark hair, I might be like towards the summer winter border because very few of us are 100% one season. But the fact that I was a summer, then understanding the psychology of the summer, with the gift being sort of like softness, and the flow, and it just like all of the things. It's like, yes, if you know me and you just knew the psychology of the seasons without even the color stuff, you would know that you would need to put me in summer, because I'm sort of like a fairly typical of the summer psychology. And
Yeah.
while I have wintry elements, I'm not so typical of the winter psychology.
Right.
So
And that understanding helps you in day-to-day decision making. It helps you like guide you with which way to go in life and relationships and what to enhance within yourself, because you know that you know what your gifts are. And so, and you know what how your light, inner light vibration affects others in the positive. And so that awareness in itself is one of the greatest life gifts we can have, is self-knowledge. Know thyself and be true, right? Like it's one of the greatest things.
yeah, to have your seasonal gift validated, when, as you know, from people that
Yeah.
we've both done palettes on, often people have, through their upbringing, they've
Mm.
somehow received messages that their natural energy is somehow not correct, and they
Yeah,
pretend to be something that they're not. So the
totally.
system is such a beautiful way of sort of aligning people. Well, we're going to use the word essence again, but aligning people with that. And once you've got that as the foundation, then you can sort of like review other things or recreate other things. Like, how do I put these elements of my essence into my business presentation, you know,
Yeah.
into my website, you know, into the clothes that I'm wearing on Zoom? It's really such an amazing revelation. And the other thing I think it helps with is, once you start to see it then in other people, and you know their gifts from their season, well, it can help with your communications with them,
Yes.
because you know, okay, their gift is this. They're probably, that's why they're communicating this way, rather than, you know, if I want them to communicate the way that I communicate, you know, that's not going to happen because they're a different season. But then
Yeah.
you can start to see, now I understand the gifts of that season. So yeah, I can let that person be in their gifts and I can be in my gifts, and we can have a really mutually enhancing experience from understanding and validating each other's gifts.
Totally agree. Yes. So much. What I love, and I have to say, like personally, I just love talking to you about these things because your depth of knowledge and my depth of knowledge around it. And when I say knowledge, it's really gnosis, it's experiential wisdom, right? From the experience that we've had in this field. It's so fun to talk to you about it. Like I have so much joy every time we connect around it. So I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. It's really such a journey, isn't it? I mean, we've both been on the journey for quite a few years now. I think you've been doing it, what, 7 or 8 years, and I've been sort
Mhm.
of like between 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And there's always more to learn, because it's
Mhm.
energy, and energy is sort of infinite. There's always new layers that sort of come up.
Really.
That
Totally. And it opens us to like back to the psychology of color, is that it opens us up to a growth evolution in the different areas of life too. So that certainly not just about colors. It's about, like you said, energy, but also our inclinations, decision making, and ultimately healing toward more and more essence-based living, right?
Yeah. So maybe we should say more clearly what we think, how we define essence. I mean, my definition of it is it's just what, it's something energetic. It's your basic, what exudes from you that often others pick up, maybe unconsciously, but often we're not conscious of it ourselves. So it's part of your natural, so it emanates from you. Well, it's the light vibration in terms of the color palette, isn't it? It's the light vibration that emanates, but also these things from your voice, from the shapes and features in your face and body, the colors in your hair, skin, and eyes, etc., etc. All of these things, your movements, it was all conveying something about natural essence. And for all of us who've been through some sort of personal journey, spiritual journey, which is about deconditioning, the palette, it really helps you, I think, to align with that deconditioned essence. It helps in the process of taking off the layers to move back to alignment with, your natural state, your authentic self. I mean, people call it all sorts of things, don't they? But yeah, that's my definition of essence. What about you?
I like it. I like a lot of the things that you said. My definition of essence is the eternal part of us, our soul self, the part of us that who resides in inner peace and love and harmony with self and the world. So our eternal self as expressed through energy, and as color is energy and frequency, understanding the primary energy field as expressed through color is the soul's divine essence expressed in the physical realm. So for me, an essence palette would be one's soul's essence as expressed through color in the material world.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah.
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 So if anyone is watching this and you're intrigued and want to chat more, my website is embraceyourvibrance.com, and Catherine's is catherinerowan.com.
catherinerowan.com. And I also have another one for my color and human design work, which is Divine Feminine by Design. But we'll put that information below. Yeah, it's just we love to introduce people really to this color work and share our enthusiasm for it. And, whether you've had a person has had a color palette done before or not, there's generally something new in having a palette like this done. I mean, they're gorgeous fabric palettes. I think it's done sort of, it's custom made for each person. So it's done individually. There's no standard. There's no standard palette. We literally work off, hair, skin, and eyes off your photos, and sometimes face to face if somebody lives close. But generally these days, most people are working off photos taken according to specific instructions. And, it's a gift to yourself for all the reasons that we've said, and also has some really practical uses as well, not only for your wardrobe, but for your personal branding, for your business. And yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So fun to chat with you about it.
Yeah, it's great fun. So yeah, let's I'll put our details below the photos, and anybody listening who'd love a palette, please contact either me or Martha.
Yeah. Bye, love. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.